In an age of headline-grabbing quarterbacks, the showmen, the firebrands, the social media icons, Joe Flacco carved out a legacy of quiet dominance. A man of few words, but of long throws and even longer perseverance. As of now, Joe Flacco's net worth stands around $85 million, the reflection of a career built not on flash, but on fortitude. Over the years, he has earned more than $175 million in NFL contracts, placing him among the top earners in league history. But money has never been his motivator. For Joe, it has always been about legacy, competition, and family. Today, he stands as one of the NFL's longest active quarterbacks, a Super Bowl MVP, and a Comeback Player of the Year, still suiting up at 40 years old. His is not just a story of success, it's the story of endurance. Early life, humble roots in New Jersey. Joe Flacco was born on January 16, 1985, in Audubon, New Jersey, into a large Irish-Italian Catholic family. His father, Steve Flacco, and mother, Karen Flacco, raised 6 children in a modest home full of sports, laughter, and sibling rivalry. Joe was the eldest of 5 boys, Mike, John, Brian, and Tom, and 1 sister, Stephanie. From the very start, competition was in the family's DNA. Baseball bats leaned in the corners of the garage. Footballs littered the backyard. And every evening, the Flacco boys would face off, whether on the driveway, in the street, or under the Friday night lights. Joe, tall and lanky even as a teenager, wasn't flashy. He was serious, reserved, the kind of kid who let his actions speak louder than his words. He played football, baseball, and basketball at Audubon High School, earning a reputation for having an arm that could cut through the wind. His coaches saw something special, an unshakable composure. He didn't talk much, one coach recalled. But when the game was on the line, you wanted Joe under center. He didn't flinch. Education and early promise. After high school, Flacco earned a scholarship to the University of Pittsburgh. There, he sat behind veteran quarterbacks, patiently waiting for a chance that never really came. Frustrated but determined, he transferred to the University of Delaware, a smaller school, but one that offered him something he valued more than prestige: opportunity. It was at Delaware where Joe Flacco's legend began to take shape. College career. At Delaware, Flacco became a student of precision. His arm strength was already NFL caliber, but it was his mental game, calm, calculated, and composed, that separated him from the rest. During his 2 years as the Blue Hen starter, he threw for over 7,000 yards and 41 touchdowns, setting several school records. In 2007, he led Delaware to the FCS championship game, falling short of victory but capturing the attention of NFL scouts. Flacco wasn't your typical small school quarterback. At 6 feet 6 inches and 245 pounds, he looked like a prototype designed in a lab, big, poised, and built to take a hit. He aced the NFL Combine interviews, and when draft day came in 2008, the Baltimore Ravens took a bold leap. With the 18th overall pick, they selected Joe Flacco, the first Delaware player ever taken in the first round. Few could have predicted that this quiet kid from a small college would soon become the face of an entire franchise. Professional career. The Baltimore years, a franchise revived, 2008 to 2018. Joe Flacco's NFL journey began like a Hollywood underdog script. As a rookie in 2008, he was thrust into the starting lineup due to injuries, and he never looked back. That season, he led the Ravens to the AFC Championship game, the first rookie quarterback in NFL history to win 2 playoff games. Over the next decade, he became the cornerstone of Baltimore football, the embodiment of grit and steadiness. But it was the 2012 season that would define him forever. That year, the Ravens entered the playoffs as underdogs. In January 2013, Flacco embarked on one of the greatest postseason runs ever witnessed. 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions over 4 games. Victories over Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Colin Kaepernick. A Super Bowl 47 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. And finally, the title Super Bowl MVP. His performance was historic, a display of precision passing and icy composure that earned him a nickname that would follow him for life: Joe Cool. That same year, Flacco signed a $120.6 million contract, then the largest in NFL history, solidifying his place among football's elite. Yet, as often happens in sports, the peak was followed by turbulence. Injuries, roster changes, and the emergence of new offensive systems began to erode his role in Baltimore. By 2018, after a decade as the face of the Ravens, he was replaced by a rising star, Lamar Jackson. It marked the end of an era. Denver, New York, and Philadelphia, 2019 to 2022. In 2019, Flacco was traded to the Denver Broncos, a fresh start, but short-lived. A neck injury derailed his season, and by year's end, he was released. Over the next few years, he bounced between teams, the Jets, the Eagles, then back to the Jets again. It was the journeyman phase of his career, the chapter where many quarterbacks fade quietly into retirement. But Joe Flacco wasn't ready to walk away. The Cleveland Redemption, 2023. When the Cleveland Browns lost their starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson, to injury late in the 2023 season, they signed Flacco, at 38 years old, to their practice squad. No one expected much, but when he stepped onto the field, it was like time had turned back a decade. He led the Browns to the playoffs with poise, deep ball mastery, and leadership that steadied a fractured locker room. The NFL took notice. That season, Flacco was named Comeback Player of the Year, a rare, poetic recognition of resilience. Indianapolis and Cincinnati, 2024 to 2025. In 2024, Flacco joined the Indianapolis Colts, serving as a veteran mentor to Anthony Richardson. When injuries struck again, Flacco stepped up, delivering competitive performances that reminded fans why he was still in the league. Then, in 2025, he re-signed with Cleveland, his spiritual home of redemption. But early that season, a rookie named Dillon Gabriel replaced him as starter. Ever the professional, Flacco accepted the decision quietly. Until a week later, he was traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. At 40 years old, Joe Flacco was still in pads, still slinging passes, still writing his story. Legacy. Joe Flacco's career stats: over 42,000 passing yards, 235-plus touchdowns, and a Super Bowl MVP, tell part of the story. But the real legacy lies in his demeanor. Never loud, never showy, always steady. A quarterback who thrived in chaos. A leader who earned respect not through words, but through presence. When NFL historians speak of postseason greatness, Joe Flacco's 2012 playoff run still ranks among the most dominant ever. And when they speak of longevity, few can rival his. Personal life. Behind the helmet, Joe Flacco is a family man. In 2011, he married Dana Grady, his longtime sweetheart from his hometown of Audubon. Their love story is rooted in familiarity. Two high school sweethearts who grew up together, fell in love quietly, and built a life far away from Hollywood lights. They have 5 children, 4 sons and 1 daughter, born between 2012 and 2018. Flacco's commitment to family has always been unwavering. He skipped Pro Bowls for births, left practice early to be present at the hospital, and often speaks about the grounding force his wife and kids provide. The Flacco family has lived in several cities across America: Baltimore, Denver, New York, and now Cleveland. But they've maintained a sense of normalcy rarely seen in sports families. Flacco's Catholic faith remains a quiet but consistent part of his life. His 2011 wedding was held at Holy Savior Church, the same church where his parents were married. Faith, humility, and gratitude have been cornerstones of his worldview. When it comes to business or endorsements, Flacco has partnered with brands like Nike, Pizza Hut, and Haribo, though he rarely seeks the spotlight. He's invested in community projects, youth sports initiatives, and occasionally lends his presence to charity golf tournaments and football camps. To those who know him, Joe isn't just a football player. He's a husband, a father, and a man content to live simply despite immense success. House tour and car collection. Joe Flacco isn't the type to flaunt luxury, but that doesn't mean he hasn't lived well. During his Baltimore years, he owned a 6-bedroom, 5-bath mansion in Reisterstown, Maryland, purchased for around $1.2 million. The home featured a sprawling backyard, a home gym, and a basement theater designed for family movie nights. In 2019, he sold the property for roughly $1.6 million after his trade to Denver. In Cleveland, reports indicate that Flacco resides in a gated suburban estate, elegant yet understated, much like him. The home sits on several acres, complete with a modest indoor training area and a football field-sized backyard where his children play catch. As for cars, Flacco's taste mirrors his personality, classic and reliable. He's been spotted in a Range Rover, a Chevrolet Tahoe, and a Porsche Panamera, but he doesn't collect supercars or brag about vehicles. For him, transportation is functional, not ornamental. His luxury is time with family, time on the field, time to play the game he loves. As of today, Joe Flacco is alive and well, still active, still competing, still defying the timeline that most athletes face. Rumors of his death once circulated in 2016 due to a hacked social media post, a false alarm that briefly shocked fans. The Ravens quickly clarified that Flacco was fine, even joking about it afterward. At 40, his story is not over. If anything, Joe Flacco continues to be a living testament to persistence, a player who refused to fade when the world expected him to retire. Joe Flacco's career isn't a story of constant dominance. It's a story of quiet greatness. He was never the loudest voice in the room, never the most flamboyant, but he was always there, durable, dependable, and, in the biggest moments, devastatingly effective. From Audubon to Delaware, from Baltimore glory to Cleveland redemption, Joe Flacco's journey reflects what sports are truly about: faith, perseverance, and legacy. When his story is finally written, whenever he chooses to hang up his cleats, Joe Flacco will not just be remembered as a quarterback. He'll be remembered as a man who outlasted the noise, outworked the odds, and stood tall in silence while others shouted. Joe Cool, the quiet giant of the NFL,